Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the moment you've been waiting for is now. Ha 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 ha. Carl Andre Cares is back to share another edition of the CAC show. And today I've got yet another exciting show with yet another exciting guest by the name of Nikembe Baobab. Who is Nikembe Baobab? Stay tuned. You'll find out here live on the CAC show. How's everybody doing? Hope all is well. Yes. We are live at 5, back in full effect. As you know, this is not a mortgage show as much as I am a mortgage broker. But, for the past couple weeks, we've been focusing on this industry a lot because there's a lot going on. But we're going back to our regular scheduled program, which is your current situation does not determine your future destination. So we got a powerful guest here, and we're going to kick off an intro and get this party started. All right. So hope everybody's doing well today on this fine first hot summer day. I should say like the hottest, right? This is the hottest. Once again, another weekly edition of the CAC show with yours truly, myself, Mr. Carl Andre. Today's show is about evolution, dedication, distinction, and commitment. Our guest today is a paid ad organic lead generation specialist. She is the Chief Executive Officer and the Chief Marketing Officer of MapDom International, which is a digital marketing and mobile application development company, right? She is definitely a go-getter who is dedicated and disciplined to follow through and rise the tides to accomplish what she has envisioned for herself and for others. She's an MBA and a PMP, which goes to tell you that she's a lifelong student and proficient in follow-through. Nikembe is a world-class speaker, a TEDx presenter, a mother, a marketer, a wife, a scholar, a business owner, and a visionary. So her passion is helping people. Stay tuned on this live edition of the CAC show for some insights and golden nuggets. With that being said, and no further ado, let's all welcome our exciting guest by the name of Miss Nikembe Baobab. So guess what? She may just have something to help you with, right? So welcome. Thanks for being here with us. Thanks for taking time.
What an introduction. Thank you. If you weren't into mortgages, I would ask you, quit your job and come MC for me. You could be my hype man. I mean, that was such a nice intro.
I'm open to negotiations, I'm moonlighting right now, in terms of
professional, open to opportunities. I get it.
There you go. So yes, thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us here on this live edition of the CAC show to share, your story, journey, purpose, and passion. Thanks again, and welcome to the party.
Thanks for asking me on this show. It's quite a privilege and an honor, so thank you.
Awesome. You are most welcome. Right off the hop, I must say, your marketing is outstanding, but that's what you do, right? And, from getting into your purview from marketing material, I thought you were states bound. And I know that sounds crazy, we're in Canada, whatever the case may be, but no matter what industry you're in, it's always the States is a little bit more advanced than us per se, right? But as you can see, a lot of talent in Canada is shining now, and things are starting to change where people could see, but no matter what, in terms of the infrastructure, there's still a notch ahead of us, right? So you came across to me like you're an American person doing big things, right? So congrats on that. So with that being said, how do you personally start your day off richly?
Oh, wow. Okay, well, that was not the question I was expecting. I love it. How do I start my day? Okay, so I usually wake up sometime after 5. If I'm up at 6, that's late, so I'm up at 5, sort of do my affirmations, prayers, reading, stuff like that. And I like to have 45 minutes to myself. My husband also gets up early, but I'm leave me alone. Just need my me time. And then we come together. We usually have tea in the morning around 5:30, and then we'll get on the balcony and we'll do some stretches, and then we hang out and chat till he goes to work at 7, and then on 7 o'clock I'm on posting on social media because I know how the algorithms work. I want to make sure that you see something from me first thing in the morning when you wake up. So my emails are usually scheduled to go out. So I typically work, and what I mean by work, I mean posting and stuff like that, till about 9 o'clock, and then 9 o'clock I guess I get into my day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm fortunate enough where I might be able to take my grandbaby to the park for like an hour because I can post while I'm on the phone still. And then I come back and then I jump into client work or staff stuff or whatever. But that's kind of how my day starts. And then I'll have some fruits. Like I have a pre-breakfast. And because Dr. Staby says that's good to have fruits on an empty stomach.
First.
So
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, go right into your bloodstream and don't ferment any food that's sitting on your stomach. So I do that.
Nice.
And then around 11:30, I'll have my breakfast, like croissant and eggs or ham or so I have my pre-breakfast, which is just fruits, and my other breakfast, and maybe a shot of outside water and some Himalayan salt, nerdy stuff like that.
So you're part of the 5 a.m. club there, eh?
Yeah, if I get enough sleep the night before and I'm not up late working on something, sure.
Awesome. So in terms of those algorithms that you just mentioned, right? Like, is there any tips or tricks that you can just spit out there, being that that's your domain that you play in terms of for people out there wanting to catch a little bit of a run with getting more eyeballs on their content?
Yeah, well, so what I would say is any advice I give on algorithms right now could change as soon as we hang up because everything changes so quickly. So what I would say is really know who your ideal target market is and what channel they are on, and post on one channel so that you can start to get some testing, and then you'll start to know the algorithm of that particular channel. If you're trying to keep up with changes on YouTube and Instagram and Meta and Twitter, you're going to be scattered all over the place. And then what I say, you never develop synergy, and therefore you never develop that marketing momentum. It tends to more be start and stop, start and stop, start and stop. So if you want to master the algorithm, master a challenge by consistently posting on one or two channels until you get to know them and the algorithm sort of gets to know and trust you. Then they will promote more of your stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So it's the consistency is the key to it, really. That's what it all boils down to.
Yeah, consistency and picking one or two channels in which to be consistent. Don't try to spread yourself thin over 7 different channels and expect to get momentum. That way it will rarely ever happen.
Yeah. Is it true that, people are getting drowned out, in terms of their things are not really being seen by the masses in terms of regular posts? And
I would say that across the board, and I post on all of the different platforms. So I would say that across the board, things are starting to go down, like on TikTok and on Instagram, your views are going down a little bit. And you have to realize a part of that, it's just the algorithms are changing and people are getting sort of tired and all that kind of stuff. That just, they're too bombarded with stuff, so it's like white noise. But also those platforms need to make money. So why would they promote all of your posts to everybody when they can hold back your reach and say, well, if you want a greater reach, then pay us, right? And so
makes sense.
Yeah, it's tricky to master it organically. Your reach is always going to be hampered compared to if you did paid ads. But what I say is if you post organically and you test and you know what works, then you can have enough information to move into paid ads and you'll know what content already works rather than trying and testing and then blowing through your budget. So I think organic is a really great way to segue into paid ads.
Nice. No, that makes perfect sense. Start small, sprinkle, and then test and A/B testing and get better at it. What's
Yeah.
happening, HV Right BB? Thanks for joining us. So first off, I jumped right into that question because, obviously you understand the reasoning behind Richly, right? So, but I didn't even address the background information, like where you're at right there. Like there's like a palm tree, like it looks like you're in Florida or something. Is
I
that a palm
am.
tree behind you?
I am. I am in
And you see, I
Florida.
was talking about America.
Yeah. So it's my own nice little screen. I want to take a picture of it and use it as my screensaver because I'm facing the palm trees, and because the window's behind me, you guys are getting that reflection, so it makes a nice backdrop for me.
Yeah.
So it just kind of works out. But I'm from Toronto. My whole family's in Toronto. Mapdom is based out of Toronto, and I met an American man, I guess, back in 2021, and some kind of crazy
The
thing.
rest is history.
Yeah, exactly. So now I'm here working on all the immigration stuff, but we will be back and forth between Florida and probably Ontario or BC in about 18 months. There'll be more consistency with the 6 months back and forth. But right now I'm here while they're working on all the immigration stuff.
Nice, nice, nice. Get the paperwork right. Got to get the paperwork right. All right. So, and I love the hat, by the way. No pun intended. Love, right?
You know what? That reminds me about something that you said earlier, which is like the U.S. being a little bit ahead.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, there's like a larger market, a larger hustle market. The mentality is a little bit different. In, Canada, we tend to be socialized different, very polite and not as aggressive. And I think that there are a lot of people pretending to do well, or you know how they say, fake it till you make it. There's a lot
Absolutely.
of that going on. And that's okay from a marketing perspective, but it's not okay from a longevity perspective in terms of your pocketbook and, wealth and legacy. So you can pretend to be popular online, but if you're not profitable in real life, you won't have the investments and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But the people here, they're not pretending. They're making hundreds of thousands and like millions of dollars, right? Because I'm not sure if there's more cohesiveness, if there's more community, if there's more hustle. It's probably all of those things.
All those things combined.
And so my goal is to sort of immerse, and I mean, that's part of what Mapdom's always done, is kind of take all the corporate experience that you mentioned earlier and sort of give it to small businesses, because the techniques and the strategies aren't different. Usually the only difference is people's budget, right? But if you can get momentum and money organically and then scale through paid channels, that works really well. But anyway, my goal is to sort of bring the hustle, the grind, and the techniques here in the U.S. to the Canadian market, especially the Canadian black market, so that we can truly be successful and stop just looking good online. And there's a lot of that going on.
Nice. You got a visitor there, eh? You spoke about her, and now she appeared. The granddaughter. How you doing?
That is Andre. You want some water?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Okay.
Jeez, I like had
Yes. Nana's on a show right now.
That's awesome. That's awesome. She
I'm
made
gonna grab her some water. I'll be 1 second.
Yeah, not a problem.
Okay.
Do your thing.
Maybe you can
Ladies and
take
gentlemen,
questions
we are
or something.
live on the CAC show. Yes, we are talking with Miss Nikemi Nakembe Bayobob, and she is the CEO and CMO of Mapdon International, and she specializes in marketing and digital app creation. So if you got a question, drop them down below. We're doing a regular session here on the CAC show live. Questions are, I have them. She doesn't know what I'm asking her, but if you have some questions you want to add in, then we will definitely take them to the table. So marketing, communication, creation, innovation, and more. All right. So thanks for joining. If you just joined us now, if you're watching this on the playback, be sure to tell a friend. All right. So origin stories, right, are always, some of the most inspirational. I'm curious about your origin story, right? When did you develop your resilience and ability to be unshakable. Talk to me
Wow.
about that.
Okay. When did I develop my resilience? Well, as you mentioned earlier, I did do a TED talk, a TEDx talk, and in it, so the name of it is How to Create a Life You Love with Vision. And in it, I mentioned that my father, at a very young age, said to me, I think maybe I was 12, and he's like, "You're black, you're a woman, or a female," whatever he said, "you have no choice but to get your education or you're going to have a very tough time in this world." And I had no idea what he meant. It was dad, and I listened to everything that daddy said, so I knew that I knew that I had to get good grades. I knew that I had to be one of, if not the best. I knew that I needed to have so much education, skills, and stuff in my toolkit that my sex or race, it would have to be taken off the table as an issue. It's like, you know what? It doesn't matter that she's black. It doesn't matter that she's a woman. She is so undisputably good that, because he otherwise, if you don't have that, you know how sometimes we're treated in this world, right? So he wanted to equip me with that. So I think that that's where my resilience came from. Also, seeing him come home from work and working overtime and just not happy. As a young person, the message I got were that jobs were not good and working for other people sucked at a very young age. And that programming, I think, stuck with me and stood by me and made me know that I needed to be an entrepreneur. I mean, I got to the highest levels of corporate and government and stuff like that, but someone else is still controlling your paycheck, telling you what to do. There's all sorts of stuff that happens. So I knew that I needed to be an entrepreneur. Plus, with my personality and attitude, it's like I kind of needed to be my own boss. I'm not that great with having a boss.
I hear you. So, but it's interesting, because again, this show is your current situation doesn't determine your future destination, and for you to, just spill that out right now in terms of going through that trajectory and coming to that understanding, right? Because that's a lot of blood, sweat, and sweat equity that you put in, like obviously to get those level of distinctions that you have beyond by your name, right? That's like dedication, hard work, right? So, but now seeing it all in the end, it's like, okay, this was done for that purpose, but now with all that, I'm going to use that as my fuel to now help others, right? So, again, obviously you wouldn't change anything that has occurred because that's built you to who you are. But now that you've been and experienced that, is there anything that you can reflect on to tell somebody that they should kind of go through a process of figuring out or understanding or how to kind of fast forward things? Or what would you say to that?
You know what? That's a great question. And I kind of touched on this a little bit in a marketing speed mentorship program that I have where people sit with me for 5 minutes and they ask these marketing questions. And her question was something around there's a thunderstorm going on, so if you can't hear me, I'll go inside, okay? Just let me know if you can hear me okay?
Yeah, we're good. Yeah.
The thunder should probably soften a little bit. But anyway, so her question was around pricing, what she should price her services at. And I told her that was, in my experience, that's the wrong way to go about figuring out how much to charge for your services. What you need to do is work backwards. And people say that they do this in theory, but then they're like so desperate for money in the beginning. They're like, okay, I'll take $300 to manage your social media. And then they're totally exhausted. They're not making enough money and they realize it's not worth it. So you can just bypass all of that by realizing, what your minimum expenses are and then determining what your price is from there and just starting there. I think a lot of people want to prove themselves first, and that's what I wanted to do. I knew that I had corporate experience, but I wasn't sure it would translate over to small businesses. So I had to prove myself. Even though I was making hundreds of thousands in corporate, I started off doing 300, then 500, then 1,000, then 1,500, and now, it's up there.
Yeah.
But I would say don't that. I would say if you need, $25, $3,000, $5,000 a month, depending on the service or product that you offer, it may or may not be possible, but have a package that has that. So at least in that month, if you sell that one package, all of your expenses are covered, rather than trying to hustle and manage 3 or 4 clients to make the same base amount. That is the one thing I would change. I would have charged $15,000 to $2,000 right out the gate. These are my credentials, this is my experience. And I think a part of what's important with that is knowing who your target market is and going after that. If your market doesn't have the money, stop trying to squeeze blood out of a rock. Right? Like, go after the market that has the money. And then, there's something Trevor Noah calls the black tax. It's like when you're black and you make money, you got to give back. So, make all your money where you can make it. And once you make it, then you can do pro bono, give discounts, you can give back to the community or those who you really want to help and who may not be able to afford your services, but don't lower your prices just to serve them or just to get case studies. If you know you're good and you have a little bit of testimonials, that's all the proof you need. I would have saved myself a couple of years and tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars if I had just priced myself out the gate at my worth instead of trying to prove myself and give discounts to work up to be like, oh, now I'm worth, $3,000.
Yeah.
Like, that's the advice I would. That's the only thing.
Huge cheat code to fast forward success right there. So I'm glad I asked you that question, and thanks for that powerful answer, because it is very important that people work backwards to figure out the budgeting side of things, right? And like you said, you stretch yourself too thin, and then you realize that you're burning out and you're frustrated, and then that's going to then bring that energy to you more of, as opposed to being in bliss and abundance, then that will follow you, right? So how does getting out into nature help with keeping a great mindset, right? And is that how you got into the environmental initiatives?
Well, I think I started out environment. I don't know how. I was just always like a tree hugger, and I always kind of loved the environment. So I find that, and it's been backed up by studies, which is always good to know. But we can get so caught up in the rat race, get so caught up in the bills, get so caught up in trying to build a legacy that there's no time for the walks, there's no time for the vacations, there's no money for the vacations, whatever it is. But I was recently listening to an Audible book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. And one of the things that was like a light bulb moment for me was something called sharpening the axe. And I'd heard that term before, but I didn't really know what it meant. Yeah. But in the book, he explains it in a story where some guys just chopping wood. And somebody says, why don't you, it's getting dull. And someone says, why don't you take time to sharpen the saw? It's like, are you crazy? Do you see how much wood I have to chop? I don't have time to. And I'm like, that's me. I think I don't have time to stop. I don't have time to relax. I don't have time. But I realize unless I take the time, I will not sharpen the saw, and everything I'm doing basically is ineffective. So if I can take a walk by the water, or take a half an hour break, take my granddaughter to the park, I come back and boom, things that might have taken me 3 hours to do before might take me 10 minutes. Like the inspiration comes, an idea. You might see a bird, have a conversation. So I don't feel guilty about it anymore. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs do feel guilty about taking time for themselves because they have to get to this goal. But you can't get to the goal if you don't replenish, I think.
So important, so important. Those are wise words. And it's, again, you being a business owner, knowing the struggle for all business owners, which is that the work is never done, right? Like there's always something else. And then, as you said, these things rack your brain and you're like, oh, I got to get to this. I got to get to this. I got to get to this. But then you need that me time, right? So as Minds Alike is saying, me too, creativity comes in nature. So that's a good takeaway there, right? We're going out, and they always say to just pause, like stop it, doing what you're doing in terms of turning that brain off of that and then putting it onto something else like nature will then, like you said, inject creativity and make you get back accelerated pace, right? So that is a huge, huge, huge takeaway. So, the interesting thing about you is that you found a great balance between business driven without losing the obvious fact that, you're actually having fun. So my question to you is, are you having fun?
I am having fun. I am having fun. I think that, my family says that I'm crazy, and I think that entrepreneurs are a bit like, they're different, right? Entrepreneurs are a little bit, they're a little bit different. And for me, I got into corporate, and everything was so stuffy, and I didn't like that. Like, I didn't like that I had to downplay myself and my personality. And oh my gosh, I could get into a whole other thing about this. But what I found mind-boggling was outside of the workplace, they were just normal people.
Yeah.
Right? Completely normal people. And another issue I used to have with working was I got really spoiled. My first job outside of university was with the government of Ontario, and they gave you a certain amount of sick days. So I could basically take a day off every other week.
And you're fine.
So yeah, on a Wednesday. And so twice a month I'd have off. And it was just so refreshing and rejuvenating. So to go in the corporate world and not have that anymore, I'm like, whoa, this is crazy. Mm-hmm. And so what I also didn't understand was when I'm in corporate, if I was sick or if I had to work from home, all of a sudden there was VPN access and I could work from home. So I didn't understand, why do you always want me to come into the office? It felt like control. And I thought, it doesn't matter, I'll get to the point in 1 second, but it doesn't matter what I'm wearing or how I'm acting. My abilities, my brain, my capability, it doesn't change. Yeah. So what's the big deal? And then the pandemic hit, and all of a sudden everyone's able to work from home. Everyone was able to work from home before. And now people are like, we don't want to go back to 5 days. We want 3 days or 4 days. And I've always had that mindset. So for me, life is short. I think I saw companies, when they don't hit their bottom line, they're quick to let you go. I've seen people, sick on their deathbed. Very few people come from work to sit with you and hold your hand. So at a young age, I realized, straight into corporate, I'm like, I can't give my whole life to corporate. I still want to be fun, and I still have my brain. So I'm like, I'm going to have to open up my own company. And I made my personality a part of my brand, right? Yeah. So Maptum's colors are, Maptum's orange. Maptum's colors are orange and blue, and that was picked deliberately because the blue represents the stability, the trust, the foundation, blue chip corporations, the seriousness and success. Mm-hmm. And the orange represents fun. So, when I did a competitive analysis before going live in Toronto, I realized there's another Black woman who also has a marketing agency. And so I knew I had to position myself differently than her. So I used, she wears pearls, and she's very proper, and she's the president of a very, prestigious Black organization in Toronto. So I'm like, well, I got to be the opposite, which worked perfectly for my personality. So brash, loud, crazy, controversial. But guess what? I'll get you results. So if you want results, if you want profit, I'm, come along with me. If you want pearls, then go with someone else. And that's a part of my branding. And
everything works and goes together.
Right buyer to me, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. But that's important, right? To niche out and make sure that you know who your target audience is, right? So it's all within that strategy of building that brand and putting all the pieces together. So just walk us through how that name came about, Mapdon International. What is this? What does it mean? There must be something behind it. Tell us.
Yeah, sure. So when I was in corporate, I guess back in 2012, social media was big, but a lot of the big corporations I was working with were starting to focus on mobile apps and being mobile responsive and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And so I again, wanting to help entrepreneurs, because I have a lot of friends who are entrepreneurs. So I would see their marketing and be like, this is such trash, right? It's like they're my friends and they're entrepreneurs and I love them, but because I had the, educational background and the corporate experience, I could see where they were going wrong. And so I knew that at that time, social media was starting to die out and not be as effective. But small businesses tend to be like latecomers to the game, right? They sort of get on board when things are out of fashion and out of style, not working as well. What was working really well were mobile apps. So I thought, oh my gosh, I need to start telling small businesses to get a mobile app, build a community, text messaging, is better than email, all that kind of stuff. So MAPDOM stands for mobile. That's the M, and you'll notice the app is in orange. So mobile application, and the DOM is domination. So when you put it together, it's mobile application domination. So M, app, DOM, MAPDOM.
Got it. That's big. I like it. It all makes sense. So, where did that will to make the best out of any situation come from for you? Because it seems like, you've gone through like a lot of adversities. You've had a lot of time to work on things, and you were in the corporate world, and the experience wasn't to your liking, so you decided to make a switch, right? Like, so where did this willpower of yours come from to be like so strong minded, relentless, and courageous to go after your dreams?
You know what? Thank you for asking that question. I think that's a great question. And I think that for me, there was no other choice. And I mean, seriously, no other choice. And what I have found in working with like about 50,000 entrepreneurs, as well as speaking with other people, including Dr. Vibe, there are different categories or segments of entrepreneurs. There are entrepreneurs that are like, it doesn't matter what it takes. I'm going to do it. I'm going to invest. Nothing's going to stop me. I don't care what anyone says. Like, I got blinders on. Like, it's do or die. I'm not joking. Like, those people invest. They're motivated. They read. They're the 10%ers. They're different. Then you've got those entrepreneurs, like, they want to be successful. Like, they want to make some money, and they're willing to do this if it's not too uncomfortable. It's like, well, I know I'm supposed to do video marketing, but I think I'm going to do this instead. And, I know I should be focusing on this, but I'm going to try this opportunity. And then there's something called shiny
object syndrome. Shiny object syndrome.
Yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to pursue this opportunity. And I find those people are scattered. They're not really decision makers. They're not really strategic. And then there are the other entrepreneurs that are just kind of like, yeah, I'd like to be successful, but if it doesn't work out, I'll get a job. So for me, in terms of the adversity, it didn't matter. And it was also part of the journey I followed. They say success leaves clues. Every successful person I know has overcome adversity, gone through adversity, not let it stop them, not let fear stop them. So I think knowing that it's a part of the process helped to accept it, to just sort of like barrel through. And like I said, for me, there's no choice. Like, I know my personality type. I can't deal with, and I have another really good example to give you right after this, but I can't really deal with 2 weeks vacation a year. My personality type doesn't allow, can I leave work early to go to the dentist or the doctor? My personality didn't lend well to that. So for me, it's sometimes a curse, right? But for me, it meant I had no choice. I had to figure everything out, know everything out, be the best, right? So that's what I think
irreplaceable
through adversity. And just so I can give you a quick example or a metaphor, which, by the way, everybody is really good in marketing. Always have a metaphor to tie your concept to something that's easy people can recognize. That's a little tip and golden nugget.
Golden nuggets.
But here is the difference in terms of those three
personality
categories of entrepreneurs and how somebody would market a leaky. Let's say I was a plumber, for example. So a really sophisticated, smart, successful marketer told me this. He goes, you have to realize when you are advertising your plumbing services, there are 3 types of people that you're going to be marketing to. One is the person in the household where they've got a consistent leak and a drip and it's annoying and it's messing up everything under the sink. You know they need to get to it, but it's like, oh, whatever. There's that person that needs a plumber. Then there's the other person that they're like, so now the pipes are like, they're leaking more, it's ruining the drywall, it's becoming more of an issue. So now you've got to call somebody. But you're in a position where you can call a couple of people and you can price check and price compare and all that. Then there's the third person. Their basement is leaky. They're losing their heirlooms. Their photo albums are being ruined. Their grandparents' stuff. Like, they don't care about price. They will pay anything right now to fix this problem because it is more than money. So when you realize that you are doing something for more than just the money, that's the person you want to sell to. You don't want to convince the person that's just annoyed by the drip. You want to you want to buy my plumbing services? Yeah, I'll get it when I get to it, right? The middle person, do you want to buy my plumbing services? Yeah, but there's this person and that person. But yeah, get here right away. I don't care how much it costs. There's the 3 different levels. So for me, in terms of adversity, I'm in the emergency, get it done no matter what. I don't care what it costs. This is precious to me. It's not like, yeah, I kind of want to make some money and pay off. Do you see the difference? Does that make sense?
No, absolutely. That's like spot on. Like, you flip the script from the personalities of the business, but again, that's the whole thing, that it's the same people that are the consumers, right? Because we are on both sides of the spectrum per se, right? So, but it's important to go to the people where there's urgency, right? Because the urgency is what is going to make it stick, right? That's what's going to move forward, right?
It's emotional. Yeah, it's emotional. It's more than a want and a drive. It's a need. It's a necessity. It's must have, do or die. Save my stuff. I need my business to work. Kind of.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, yeah, that ties in exactly as you said it to those personalities with the business owners, right? And the people that are successful, right? They put themselves in that state of head down, and I got to go, and I know that I'm supposed to win, and they're going to do what it takes, right? But
no excuse.
it is
mentality. Yeah.
It is a lot of challenging, right? How would you say that the skills that you acquired in the corporate world have now helped you along your lines of being now an entrepreneur? Talk to us about that transition and what skills are transferable from that to what you're doing now.
Wow. Another great question. So let me see. I think it's a combination of my corporate experience as well as my master in business administration, because there are, like, you can get into, okay, how do I phrase this? Like, you can get into entrepreneurialism and learn how to do marketing and learn how to do sales, but that is not necessarily in and of itself business. There is so much more. Now, when I started my MBA, the first course that they start you out with, which I was really surprised about, was organizational behavior and organizational culture. And I'm like, why is that? So what I came to realize, and then also experienced in corporate, is that your internal values, your internal culture, the CEO, the foundation upon which your company is built, that emanates through everything, through who you hire, through who you go after, it goes through everything. And so I think what my corporate experience and my education have allowed me is to have like a 50,000-foot view of all of the different aspects and things that are necessary to make the good Lord agrees. Yes.
That's
all of
that's
the
a
things
fun
that
flex
are,
farm right there on that golden nugget.
yeah. If it gets to that, I'll just go inside because I don't even know what time it is. But what was I saying? So what was my last thing?
The education and
right,
corporate
view, right? So I think it allows me to see things and pay attention to things that that small business owners just wouldn't. For example, in the corporate world, the most important thing is acquiring a customer. For a small business or entrepreneur, sometimes the most important thing is getting the money because they need to pay their bills, right? So a business might be willing to do a promo, give a phone away for free, do something at a financial loss, knowing they have a long-term strategic business plan, knowing that they're going to recoup it in other ways down the line. You want to get those customers in. And I'm telling you this because I had a gentleman, he was doing paid ads, paying $1,500 a month, and then making $1,500 a month. So he's like, I feel like I'm wasting my time because I'm not making any money. I said, no, but now you have customers. Those are customers that you can resell to and re-engage. And we all know it's easier to keep a customer than to get a new customer.
Absolutely.
And so it's those kinds of things, like something as simple as in the corporate world, we have an annual marketing strategy. So we know what's happening January, February, March. We know, are we doing an offer? Is it an engagement strategy? Is it a lead generation strategy? We look at our analytics. We review things at the end of the year to see what worked, to plan what happens next time. They have someone like me, a chief marketing officer, who's just doing the research and making the relationships with the email service providers or the spam filter engineers or whatever, not working on making the videos or doing the social media posts or writing the blogs. Like, that's not a job of a strategist. So the difference is, I think, with corporate and education is that it's very much more strategic. It's highly profit driven. Small businesses is like they just want to make enough money to pay their bills and have a lifestyle sort of income. Very different pressure. You pressuring yourself is one thing. Your spouse pressuring you to be successful is one thing. Your job on the line and hitting those KPIs and meeting with the board of directors and having to account for every single number or thing that comes into a corporation, two different levels of operation, right? So that's like the huge difference in terms of how I operate, and also as a plug, what I bring to the table for anybody that works with our marketing agency. You're getting the corporate strategy, all of that in addition to the marketing. Stuff that people wouldn't see or know or have access to.
That's huge. That is a big takeaway, right? Definitely that gives you an advantage point for sure, by far. That is unmatched, right? Like you said, those demands in the corporate world, it's very pressurized per se, right? Like, because you're being asked, like how we're live right now, and it's like, what's this? And you got to know it right off the cuff.
Yeah, pull me
right?
the report. What happened here? It's like yeah, no joke.
100%. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here live on the CAC show with yours truly, Mr. Carl Andre, and our honorable guest, Ms. Nakembi Bayobob. She is the CEO and CMO of MapDom International. So if you got questions on marketing, communication, creation, innovation, and more, drop them down below so that they can be addressed, right? So how do you feel that entrepreneurs have an advantage over the current state of the cutbacks and the numerous industries being affected by the tightening of the belt? Talk to us about that from the standpoint, corporate, shoestring, small business, however you see fit to take that. So is there an advantage point based on these cuts right now, or is it at a disadvantage for small or entrepreneurs or just entrepreneurs in general?
Okay, so cutbacks never seem or feel advantageous, but what I think it does is it helps people to be creative. I remember Tiffany Haddish was speaking, I think, in her book, and she was talking about she couldn't afford like those Doc Marten boots that went up to the knees back in the day, so she would just wear long black socks, right? And then that kind of caught on. But the point is, I think that people that don't have a lot of money tend to be creative. And so while losing a job is going to suck, it's going to hurt, I think that it gives people an opportunity to sit down, reflect, and maybe figure out what their priorities are, what their passions are, what do they really want to do, and maybe pursue it. And if you can make a profit from something that you're passionate about, I think that's great. So I think that's one advantage. Excuse me. I think that's one advantage of any cutbacks that would be happening. I think another
Recalibrate.
yeah, I think another advantage might be there's so people are so like I think back in the day we were very loyal to like Eaton's or Sears or big companies, right? And now even big companies like Amazon are allowing themselves to be smaller and fractured where regular business, small entrepreneurs, regular people can open up an Amazon account, can, do drop shipping or whatever and make some money. So I think that because so many people are shopping at all these different places, whether it's Instacart or whatever, like the gig economy, I guess that's what they call it, is big. And so it's an opportunity for you to sort of take advantage of that and make money on the side with Amazon or using AI or using using an Etsy store right now to create unique mugs or products and putting them on Etsy. So the technology and the gig economy as well as consumer buying habits are really making a nice environment, I think, for very nice entrepreneurial growth. It gives you more confidence to go out in the world. And just going back to my TEDx talk, when they asked me what I wanted to speak about, there were a whole bunch of topics we could talk about. But one of them that they were thinking about was the benefits of a person of color having a business. And I said, because you have control, right? We don't have control over systematic racism. We don't have control over, maybe being able to get a loan from a bank due to credit, due to family, or different dynamics that exist in our community that may not necessarily be as present elsewhere.
For others, yep.
So if you are able to start something on the side and maybe develop an emergency fund or start putting that money away for investments or a well-deserved vacation, right? But don't just have a job because you relinquish all control. Have a little something on the side. And someone said, you know what? I remember when I went to my first Primerica meeting because that's when I first got into entrepreneurship. It was a Tuesday evening, and I came home and I was so tired. I'm like, I do not want to go out and do another thing. I'm like, wait a second, you can't be too tired to better your own life and give all of your time and energy to a corporation that doesn't care about you. That doesn't make sense. So I think Tony Robbins or someone said, it's not that you're tired, you're not motivated. You know what
That's huge.
So you got to be motivated to get out of your situation. Don't think your job is secure. Don't think your job is enough. Know that you're worth more. You have value. Don't let someone. I also remember that it's like the position, the pay for the position is made before they even meet you. So it's like we're going to hire you. We're hiring anybody for this position, and we're paying $50,000. It doesn't matter what you're bringing to the table. Why let a corporation or someone determine your value? Are you worth $75,000 or $100,000? And if that's what you're worth, if that's what your family is worth, find a way to get that spare tire. Find a way to do something entrepreneurial on the side. Have a side gig. It could be email marketing. It's so easy right now. Like I said, with technology, consumer behavior, and all this entrepreneurialism kind of fester that's happening, it's a wonderful time to be self-empowered, I think. And entrepreneurialism is, I think, the best way to get there.
Every time you drop a bomb, then the thunder goes off and roars, right? So there you go. So, but no, it's important because people work, what do they say, 8 hours a day at a job for somebody, and then what are you doing with the other 16 hours per se, right? So it's like, yes, we got to sleep for 8, but then you got 8 more. So you should be working for you during that time, right?
Yeah.
To build something, right? So very, very important, right? So again, this is all powerful information that we have been dropping, or I should say you have been dropping for our viewers and listeners. So we thank you for that. Also you invented something. So congratulations, a system, right? What were you doing at the time when the idea dawned upon you, and what were your first steps to achieve the final creation? Talk to us about that.
Awesome. Yeah, so that's called the S.O.L.D system, S-O.L.D, which stands for Strategic Organic Leads on Demand. If anybody wants to check out the webinar, just go to marketingsoulsystem.com and register for the webinar. So what
marketingsystem.com, right?
Yeah, marketingsouldssystem.com.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. Tell us.
So what I found, again, I mentioned to you earlier about, corporate pressures and stakeholder expectations and profit margins and all that kind of stuff. And what I found working with small businesses is obviously they don't have those same kinds of budgets, but they could still get leads, high quality leads for free if they just knew how to do things systematically or strategically. Like I said, that's the huge thing that's missing with entrepreneurs and mom and pop shops is the strategy, because they don't have the corporate or the academic background. And so I also saw people investing in paid ads, like I gave that example of another gentleman before. He sells fish fly equipment or whatever. And what I saw was people taking out ads, boosting posts, and blowing through their budget or getting low quality leads. And it's very problematic because my heart and soul is with the small business entrepreneur. I want them to be able to not go to corporate, not sit in traffic, not put up with incivility at work. Sorry, is Papa home? Sorry, one second. Is Papa home?
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live here on the CAC show.
Fine.
If you've got questions on marketing, communication, creation, and innovation, drop them down below, as we have a specialist on the call with us. And she's going to get back to that answer right now, as she was momentarily just...
But, and so I realized that paid ads don't work if you don't know what you're doing. I also understood, again, like I was talking about the exposure that I get in corporate that small businesses won't necessarily know, is that you're supposed to test first. Like companies will put aside $10,000, $20,000 for testing to get the analytics and the information so they know it works, and then that's what they invest
to the big scale.
Right? So small businesses were not having a good time with paid ads because they were losing money, and then I realized that the way they were trying to get organic leads, like a little bit of video marketing, a little bit of blogging, a little bit of email, because like I said earlier, you think you need to do, and you do, right? But they think they need to do all of these things to be successful, but you never gain mastery in one area. You never get results just from one area. So the S.O.L.D system came about. It was actually designed for my children because I wanted them to never work for the man either. And so I'm like, don't listen to all that foolishness online, guys. Listen to mommy. Mommy knows, right? But if you want to never work for the man, if you want to sell any service or product online, it doesn't matter. Follow these steps and you will be successful. So I built the program for my children.
Nice.
And yeah, and the first thing I say is start with video marketing because that's the hottest thing right now. You can transcribe them into written content. You can slice it up. It has more virality, 1,200% more shareability than text and images combined, right? And so you can syndicate it in more places. And when you're focusing just on one area, you'll master those nuances. Like I told you, you'll have mastery over the algorithm. You'll learn what works. How long should the video be? What titles should you work? Like real specific. But when you're just doing, I got to post on YouTube, I got to post a reel, and then I got to do this, you never understand, learn, and master one particular channel. So in the S.O.L.D system, it talks about sequential synergy, meaning instead of 1 + 1 = 2, 1 + 1 = 3, or 1 + 1 = 6, because you gain mastery and success in one area, and then you match that with success in the second area, and then the third, and then the fourth. There are 12 channels in the S.O.L.D system. And so You're getting organic leads, you're making money, and so you start with video marketing, then you do local marketing, then mobile marketing, all free, then social media. We say focus on social media fourth because it is so huge, and if you start there, you might get stuck. So get a little bit of success with the first 3, video marketing, local marketing, mobile marketing. And mobile marketing is something as simple as having a WhatsApp group or using QR codes. That's all free mobile marketing, right? And then we dive into things like analytics and competition and branding and campaigns, all the way to paid ads. So that's basically the S.O.L.D system. Strategic organic leads on demand, building sequential synergy in one channel before moving on to the next to build success and marketing momentum so you can scale through paid ads successfully down the line.
Huge, huge, huge. That's a big creation there, and so necessary, and it's universal to all industries, right? Because basically, in terms of that system, you can apply it, plug and play to any product or service, right?
Just adjust and customize, but the framework, the foundation, and the framework and the foundation and the structure are there, and that's what a lot of people again are missing. You know, they're focusing on funnels and they're focusing. I always say it's like people focusing on the drapes or the furniture or the interior design, but your house is built on like quicksand and it's melting. You have to have the foundations, the frameworks, and the proper structures in place, and then build around that.
Huge. So what about the analytics for that? Like in terms of, as you said, the testing, and while you're rolling that out within that program, there's an actual way to see what's working and test and write the results, and then know to double down, as you said, like right through the
analytics are huge. I think again that's another thing that small businesses and mom and pop shops are kind of missing out on, the analytics, like quarterly, at least like annually at the minimum, but quarterly is kind of ideal, where you're taking a look at what channels are working best for you, or what look at your insights, what times are best, whether it's Instagram or YouTube. In terms of Google Analytics for your own web page, are people they'll tell you what age group people are. Are they looking at your stuff from a desktop or mobile or a tablet, which doesn't matter as much as it used to, but it would help informing how you would design certain things. But now everything's responsive, so that's not as much of an issue. And analytics will tell you things like if people are college educated, or are they, is it college or university? Are they looking at your website from in the morning, in the night? What pages on your website are being most visited? So that informs you that that's the content that people want. So you spend more of your time and energy on that rather than you unknowingly posting some other crap no one cares about, right? Analytics is huge in helping you to inform, again, your marketing strategy. You can also take a look at your bounce rate. Are people coming to your website and then bouncing right off? And if that's the case, have something like a quiz or have something like a video so that you can incent people to stay on your website for at least 1 to 3 minutes, because that will send a positive signal to Google that, people like this website, we will show it more in the search engine ranking. If people come to your site and they're bouncing off within 10 seconds, that sends a message to Google that people don't like this content. Whatever they're clicking that they think they're getting when they land on your site is not what they're getting, so we're not serving your site anymore. So that is how looking at your analytics helps to inform your marketing strategy. And once you know what that is, again, you can use all organic channels to have success. People think organic doesn't work because they just, again, don't know strategically how to do it. That's all it is.
Sprinkle it, right? Yeah. And it's very to the point that you said that as we started this conversation, things are changing even while we're in it, in terms of the technology and things of that nature, because you're referencing Google, right, too, and you hear like rumblings that Bing is making a run, I should say, on their territory, and now you got to kind of reposition how you do things as well, like to get those eyeballs again, right? So going back to the program that you created here, right, the system, what was the biggest hurdle during the process? And how did you overcome them, like while you were in that, getting that S.O.L.D system on the go? Talk to us about that.
Well, I think the biggest hurdle was just getting all of the nuances and intricacies into each module. Because again, I did set it up for my children, so really and truly, there's no stone left unturned. Every secret corporate strategy or every internet marketing guru thing that I knew was put in it. Like again earlier when I was talking to you about the different types of entrepreneurs, like it's at that level where I tell you how long the video should be and why. You know, because again, you hear, oh, let me post a video for a minute. Great. But the thing is, there's something that's important like watch time. So if someone's only watching 20% of your video, that is not a good signal to the algorithm. You want people to have 80 and more, but preferably 100% watch time. That means that your video, ideally, again, if you're looking at your analytics, your video should be around 25 seconds, and you can play with it. But you have a greater chance of someone watching 100% of your video if your video is only 20 seconds, as opposed to someone watching 1 minute of your video. Little things like that people don't know, I included in the SOL system. Something, again, another little nugget that I don't tell anybody is like just most people just upload their video or upload their picture. You know, you should name your picture and your video with the keyword that you want to be found for, instead of just, you know, image 892 and the date. Name it, you know, mortgage specialist Toronto. That image or that video is going to pop up just because of the naming convention. That is taking advantage of SEO in a way that's not talked about generally online. So my point is, the hardest part, it wasn't really hard, but it's so robust. Everything is in there. Every secret that I would normally keep for myself for my competitive advantage and my competitive edge is in there because I wanted it for my children to be completely successful. But they're doing their own thing, so it doesn't matter. So I'm like, okay, I might as well give it to the public.
Nice. So as Lawrence Kerr says, that's there's gems on gems in that
He is
program
the
there.
best.
Awesome.
The best.
Awesome. So, you know, tell us like a bit about who you're hoping to help and some of the success stories that you've had thus far. Talk to us about that.
I love it. I have lots of success stories, which I'm happy about. I have corporate success stories, but that's corporate, right? I can easily be replaced. I can easily be replaced in corporate. They can get another chief marketing officer. But having an impact on a small business, allowing them to make enough money, like they say, to stay home, to retire their parents, take care of the parents, you know, pay off their children's car, their children's debt, not have to, like I said, put up with the crap and incivility of corporate or commuting. That's where my heart is. And so I totally got so into it that I forgot your question.
You're passionate.
I got
passionate
so wrapped up into like the beginnings of
the question. Basically, tell us about some success stories that you've had right now in terms of or who you're looking to help.
So like right now I've got a lady named Donna Grant, and she's one of the ladies I was speaking about in terms of different types of entrepreneurs. She was actually referred to me to mentor by Dr. Vibe, and I'm like, I don't do mentorship, like, you know what I mean? But he's like, no, she's serious. Everything she says she's going to do, she does. She shows up to class every Thursday, does all her assignments. So people like that are very different than other people in the class that show up once in a while. You know what I mean? It's a different level of seriousness and a different level of commitment. So since taking our program, she also became very strategic, you know, has her social media and video calendar, her first set of videos. And that's another thing, like the SOL system, there are 12 channels, but you can do so well in one channel, you may not even need to go on to the next, right? You never have to pay ads and stuff like that. But anyway, she got so much attention. She started getting speaking gigs and was just getting paid $750 here, getting paid from all of these things just through video. And she was doing video before, but in the course, we critique your video. So there was no hook. It was just all what someone thought she should do. There was no strategy. So she's a success story. Alethea, who Minds I Like, I believe I heard comment on here. She also bought the system, and she started doing videos, has a video strategy. She just recently won an award. Odessa Thornhill, Cultivate Your Own, also had a video marketing strategy, but it wasn't really kicking off the way she wanted it to. Helped her out with her strategy. Now she's got clients, high ticket clients. She's traveling all over. She's become more corporate in her marketing. I got a restaurant owner in Gulfport, Mississippi. They double their income from like $323,000 a year to like $656 just through mobile marketing, video, and social media. But again, being strategic about it. Don't just hire an intern or your kid can do it. Like it needs to be. There needs to be a strategy. Mm-hmm. And so those are just some of the success stories. And I will say that people that started the program and did not complete it or do the task that they were told are currently still stuck and suffering, where the other students have done incredibly well.
You gotta roll your sleeves up and put in the work, right? That's what matters most, right? And again, that's going back to the whole skin in the game and going back to those personalities that you mentioned before, right? So everything is all relative, right? I know you touched on how vital the competitive research is based on the corporate world and all the strategy and everything like this, right? How can somebody on a smaller budget or small business kind of do or get that competitive research going? Talk to us about that.
Yeah, well, you know what? I heard once at a conference that, people don't like to go to webinars because there's always a pitch at the end. But they say that either way you're going to pay. You're going to pay with cash or you're going to pay with sweat equity. So what someone would have to do there is go out and like DM people, actually go out and research them and like make those kind of connections. You can't hide behind just emails or social posts. So go and take a look at your competitors. I'll have classes with people and I'll say to them, who are your top 3 competitors? And sometimes they don't know, right? And myself, I'm included. I could have probably told you 1 or 2, and that's like, oh, well, this person may be cut. No, you have to know who are your top 3 competitors and do a SWOT analysis. What are their strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats? What are they good at? What are their price points? Who are they serving? You don't need to purchase any tech or software to do that. That's, like I said, sweat equity, just going and doing research. What are they posting? What posts are working? What posts have the most engagement? What are people saying? Whoever's responding to the post, click on their profile. Who are they? Message them, follow them, DM. So you can get some competitive research that way in terms of what isn't working. And then if you do want to pay money, there's all sorts of spyware. Like you can pay to see, if an ad is, how long an ad has been running. So if one particular ad has been running for like 104 weeks, that's 2 years, it's a good ad. So you might want to mimic what they're doing in their ad.
With your own spin on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Type your niche in Google and just see what ads come up, what businesses come up, what words they're using, and learn from that and customize it for yourself.
Huge. Those are big takeaways, right? So it can be done is the key, right? Talk to us again. You're a TEDx speaker. I know we're almost at that hour. We are at that hour, so we're going to be wrapping up shortly. But you see, it was just so much valid information that time just flows, right? So a TEDx speaker, right? What was it like and how did that opportunity arise? Talk to us about that, right? For you to get to be a TEDx speaker.
Well, I think somebody nominated me to be, I think that TEDx had put out some call or something, and somebody had nominated me, and then someone called me about it. So that was really cool. Somebody that I had worked with thought that I should do it and I'd be good at it. So that was a fantastic, wonderful surprise. It was also kind of on my bucket list because there are obviously other people that have done, TED Talks and TEDx Talks, and it sort of propelled them a little bit.
Yep.
And so I was looking forward to that opportunity. But I was like, I got my TED Talk. I'm going to do all these speaking gigs. I'm going to charge $10,000. None of that happened.
The world shut down right then.
COVID hit, right? My TED Talk was February 2020, and then I was supposed to go to an International Women's Day event. That was my first speaking gig after my TED Talk, and that was the day they shut everything down. in March 2020, and they said no public events. And then, of course, there was the pandemic for 2 years after that. But it's given me credibility. It's something that I'll always have. I can slice up pieces of it. And even in terms of competitive advantage, when I looked at all the other TED Talks, no one was talking about vision. People talk about mindset and all this other stuff, but no one was really talking about manifestation and vision. So I saw a niche area I could etch out for myself. So that's what I did.
That's awesome. Good stuff. Good stuff. Congrats to you on that. You know, timing, sometimes it's all God's plan. So you never know. It's all supposed to happen. It's going to be what it's supposed to be. And you will be at the top in due time because you put the work in and you believe in what you're doing, right? And that's what matters. And you're passionate about it. You can see it and you can hear it. You know, this is near and dear to your heart that you want to help people. So you shall win, right? So I'm going to read a little bit of a quote here that I thought was insightful. You shouldn't just be doing things willy-nilly here, there, and everywhere without a plan of strategy. You should drill down deep and master lead generation in one area before moving on to the next. So how much is that statement as true today as when you first stated it? Talk to us.
Wow, you really got that quote down.
Yeah. We put in the homework here. But, you know, I know you've already kind of answered that along the way, but it is the quote that you said. And does it still stand truthful to today, right now, in terms of?
Absolutely. I mean, the webinar that I do, again, I've been coached by some of the best marketers in the world, and they talk about how to lay out your webinar format. There's psychology and neuro-linguistic programming. And again, that's something that it's oh, I got to do a webinar. If you don't know these things, you'll just do a webinar and it will flop and you won't necessarily know why. But in the webinar, one of the things they teach us to say is who the product is for and who it's not for, because you want to disqualify people. There's also psychology to that, the takeaway. But in all actuality, I think that if people don't take this program, that they are sentencing themselves to suffer, struggle, and spin their wheels. And I know that factually because I've worked with business. Oh, I'm not interested in that. I'm going to try this. And I know that it won't work. You need to be strategic. You need to have a system. You need support. And you need the corporate and academic experience to bring to your strategy. You doing it on your own, they have chief marketing officers for a reason. You are selling your service, your product, your restaurant, your photography, your books, your fashion, your healthcare. That's what you are an expert at. You cannot expect to be an expert at marketing and what you do. Yeah. So I believe all of that is infused into the program. If you don't take it, if you don't do it, you are sentencing yourself to struggle, suffer, and spin your wheels. In my opinion, from what I see.
Rightfully so. You need a plan, right? That's the number one theme for today, right? Strategy, planning, execution. So, again, we're about to conclude our conversation, but when you did mention that you created that S.O.L.D program and you did it for your kids, and then now that they're not using it per se, you now have given it to the masses. So I was listening while you were saying it, but I was leaving it for this question, which is legacy. What does it look like to you? Define that word, legacy. Talk to us.
Legacy. Well, I think it starts from what I said initially with my father. And one of the things that, again, just a little nugget, when you're positioning your business, you want to have your competitive advantage or something that differentiates you from everybody else. So with Mapdom, when we're working with a company, we do something called a core exercise where we try to, okay.
There's the legacy right there, in full effect, right on cue.
We do a core exercise where we ask people, so in terms of your business, what was your creative moment or the catalyst, right? Because we want to know what a business's DNA is. We want to understand a business's DNA because then we can capture the emotionality and the story. And that's your competitive edge because nobody else can replicate that, right? And so I I think for me, when I did my own core, because MAPTM is about freedom, we have the fist. And again, seeing my dad work his job and hate it, I was like, I never, and even when I talked to you about how I am with jobs, right? I never wanted my children to have to work in a job that they hated or not make enough money or suffer and struggle and go through what, most of adults in the world do. I wanted to be like the Rockefellers or the Kennedys or whoever that left their children wealth and wisdom and education so that they would have a leg up or a step up in the world. It's not going to eradicate all of the issues, but at least you won't have to deal with some of the crap you would have otherwise. That is what legacy is for me. And my dad left that for me in terms of you're black, you're a woman, you have no choice but to get your education or you're going to have a tough time in this world. And had that not been the case, I probably would not necessarily be able to command the respect or the following that I do if I was just some, poorly educated black lady that maybe worked in some job where I wouldn't have a voice or someone wouldn't take me seriously because credentials and academic stuff like that matter in this world. They were just tools to get me to freedom. I don't want to play in the corporate world. As you know, my heart and soul is helping small businesses and entrepreneurs. But legacy for me is empowering my children to never have to work for the man if they don't want to. And that starts with the S.O.L.D system, selling any service or product online, being able to make money, invest money, and live life how they want to on their terms. That is what the S.O.L.D system and legacy is all about for me.
That's huge. That's huge. So shout outs to Pops for, planting those seeds to make them blossom and allowing the water to let them grow, right? So again, parents note that it's important, the information we're feeding our kids from young ages and the thoughts that they put in here will propel them to go and become who they are destined to be out there, right? So again, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here with us on this live edition. What I would like for you at this time is to have the floor and state or any closing statements or let people know where they can reach you, see your program, and, have more in-depth conversations, whatever the case may be. So the floor is yours. Talk to us.
Okay, so I've got an email newsletter, or you can, email me and book a free strategy call, or I'll invite you to my speed mentors where you get to actually ask me questions one-on-one for a few minutes. So I'll leave my email address, and I'll say it and spell it. So it's Nakimbe Baobab at maptm.com, Nakimbe, Baobab, Baobab, at maptm.com, mappdom.com. So send me an email. I'll ask you what you want. Do you want access to webinars? Do you want a strategy call? Do you want me to look at your website, social media? Do you want to know more about the S.O.L.D system? Let's just figure it out. But it's better to email me. I don't want people, if you want to go to the S.O.L.D system and sign up for the webinar, you can. That website is marketingsoulsystem.com, and then you can register for the webinar. But if you also want to get direct one-on-one access to me, because of our wonderful host today, then just send me a direct email and tell me you heard the IG Live, and I'll give you some special discount or bonus or something.
Awesome. Thank you again, and definitely wishing you nothing but success and the ability to live up to your passion and helping people and winning and being able to create what you cultivate. So all the best to you. My last question that I'm going to ask you simply is because I'm a mortgage broker, and I like to ask my guests, where is your most favorite place in your home?
Oh, that's tough. I was going to say the kitchen, so it's either the kitchen or right here on the balcony where I can look at these pretty trees.
Nice.
That's a great
Nice view. Yes. So thank you again for taking time out of your schedule, and God bless you. We will talk. All right?
I just clicked the X button at the top, right?
Yeah. and you're good to go. All right, take care.
Take
Bye.
care. Good night. Bye, everybody. Thank you.
All right, God bless. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here with us. Yes, for once again, another weekly edition of the CAC show. That was a breath of fresh air in terms of coming off of our mortgage sequencing that we've been on with this crazy market. This was some good marketing tips for you and your small business, big business, for you to get your ideas, to get them the green light to go. Strategy, strategy, strategy. That is the point intended. That is what is necessary. Don't be a fly-by-nighter. Have a strategy, have a plan, and execute. All right. So, again, we'll be back next week, Wednesday, with another live edition of the CAC show. I think we might be back to a Mortgage 101 session as we're entering episode 149. Going to be soon at episode 150, where we're going to have a break for about 6 weeks there. So 150 is a big milestone. We've been going strong for every week, Wednesdays at 5. Would like you to tell your friends, tell people know about what we're doing here. What we're doing here is to help you, right? So definitely just be sure to be back. All right. Take care. Bye for now. Peace and love. We'll see you on the other side. Bye.